Hello and welcome to the Smug Europeans. I am your host Titus, and I'm here with my friend Pascal Emmanuel Gobry, who is even more smug than I am. Today we will be doing a show on all things cultural. We'll be talking movies, we'll be talking books, we'll be talking arts more broadly, some of our gripes, some of the things we love and recommend, and maybe give some directions for the future. We'll be doing some cultural beats, successful movies on screens, upcoming problems with sci-fi as literature and fantasy. And then we'll be talking about our dear friend and hopefully admired superstar Peachy Keenan. And we will close with one of the great directors of rugged yet romantic manliness, Michael Mann. That's our program for today. Pascal, lead us in.
Yeah, I thought we were calling this podcast "Brown Guys Pretending to Be White." I missed. We're now the Smug
That's the
Europeans.
esoteric meaning.
That's the esoteric
Don't say
meaning.
it.
Yes, I can see it. Well, as you can see, I'm looking pale today. That's because I haven't been in the sun enough. Yeah, we thought we would do like a bunch of gripes as like the first third of the show. Um, my gripe today, my latest gripe is that science fiction today sucks. Science fiction. I mean, there's the Peter Thiel thing, which is true, which is, it used to be optimistic and now it's all dystopian, blah, blah, blah. I think it's kind of overdone. So, first of all, like critique of Thiel. So, number one, if you remember science fiction from the 50s and the 60s, like half of it was about nuclear Armageddon because everybody was obsessed about like nuclear warfare and mutually assured destruction and all that. We sort of memory hold that because we don't think about nuclear Armageddon anymore, except for Donald Trump. But so it wasn't always optimistic, but and vice versa. Optimistic science fiction is boring. I mean, this is the problem of the Culture series by Ian Banks, where like the concept of the thing is that humans have achieved the sort of perfect civilization where robots and AIs manage everything and everything's great, and we have infinite energy and everything. And the problem with that is that it's boring. So how do you make a book? How do you make a movie out of this? And so he's having to like essentially like invent, you know, demons and ex machina to like screw up Eden because that's what's interesting, right? Same thing with Star Trek, right? You have this perfect civilization. So what's interesting is when they explore what's outside. But um there's I think he's right that we've lost a sense of possibility in the future. I think he's right in a fundamental sense where, in the 50s, it was exciting to write about spaceships and AIs and even nuclear Armageddon because there was a real sense that you might get to see it or your children would get to see it. And now there is no longer that sense. We're in this sort of stuck culture, and so it's no longer interesting. It's just like a political parable. There's this really interesting show on Apple TV called For All Mankind. The new season came out. I think it's season 5 or maybe season 4. It's a huge hit. They're doing a spin-off, and basically uh it agrees with Peter Thiel. It agrees with the Great Stagnation. It was like, wait, the space race ended. We sort of stopped. What the hell? What if we had never stopped? And the premise of the show is the Soviet Union never collapses, so the space race has to continue. Um, and and the my interpretation of the subtext of the show is that it really is a response to Peter Thiel. Like Peter Thiel's reason for why we've stagnated is identity politics. Like we've become too concerned about like who's black, who's gay, who's white, who's a woman, who's a man, and blah 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 blah. And the show is trying to prove that no, 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 you can have like a multicultural society with gay people that builds ships to Mars. And what I find really funny is that the show itself sort of demonstrates the contrary because half of the show is spent on identity politics stuff. Like half of the show, half of I'm not exaggerating. I'm not even criticizing. It's just a fact. Like half of the screen time is spent on this astronaut is secretly a lesbian and that's a problem, and who's going to be the first black guy on the astronaut class, and who's going to be the first lesbian president of the United States, and blah blah blah. There's there's an Elon Musk analog character who's black, and he's black from Africa, so he's literally an African American. He's an African. he's a space entrepreneur from Africa who immigrated to America and built private rockets, but he's a black guy, and it's like, uh, uh, you know, the show that tries to tell us that identity politics doesn't have to distract us from the space race is itself too distracted by identity politics to talk to us about the space race. It's like it's a show with like all of the space stuff is amazing. And it's very realistic, it's very well done. It sort of plucks at those strings of nostalgia where we all, especially us millennials, it's a very millennial, I think, themed TV show because it's like this is what our childhood should have been. This is what our adolescence should have been. We should have spent our childhood and our adolescence like watching the first bases on the moon open and all that. And so you get to watch that, and it's from a technical perspective, it's really well done. It's wonderful. And then, it cuts to like 10 minutes of like, oh, I'm getting fired from the space program because I'm having sex with someone, but isn't it, shouldn't you have the right to have sex with someone or whatever? And it's like, show me the rockets. I want to see the rockets. And so
Yeah.
again, like this is my hot take. The show that tries to tell us that identity politics doesn't have to distract us from space is itself too distracted from space by identity politics to show us space, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a synecdoche for like the state of the entire genre, which is sort of stuck in the past, literally and metaphorically, right? It's an alternate history because we can't imagine a future for us. The only thing we can imagine is the future we should have had. And it's too preoccupied with identity politics to tell a good story, even when it has a good story to tell. So there you go. That's my gripe.
Yeah, I
And it's
think that's
topical
very
because
well
the new
put.
season came out like last week
Exactly.
or this
Season
week,
five
whatever.
just dropped, and it's
Yeah.
getting close to our days. Season one started in '69 with the moonshot, and then they skip about a
Yeah.
decade per season. So now they're in the
Yes.
2010s,
Yes. Exactly.
and
That's the concept. Yeah. It's
where the season
one
five
decade per
start,
season.
illegal immigrants,
Right.
craters, right? Like there are all these people who ship as stowaways, and now they're on the Mars colony. And what are you gonna do about them? Of course, the first things first, like some lady banged one of them. Like now you have marital problems, and now we're doing this again. So something about like women trying to ruin marriages and illegal immigration. And if there's anything serious about this fatalism, you can't even be happy in the alternative past, is that you either put these things to death or they put you to death. You either fix these things or they fix you permanently. For All Mankind has quite a lot to offer, but not on this sense of manly adventure. It's better than being
Yes.
stuck in having no men at all. It's not much better. And as you say, there's I think probably the best way to think about this is to wander along with Peter Thiel. What happened to science fiction? What happened to our visions of the future? What happened to our ideas on the one hand of adventure and exploration, and on the other hand that we can sidestep some of the frozen conflicts, get around them, claim a higher ground, claim a new territory, and get the kinds of advantages that we would need to to secure victory. In a certain sense, Reagan's Star Wars SDI was the last time we literally claimed the high ground, even if only very little,
Right.
in order to make sure we don't have to have a hot war with the goddamn Soviets. You can
Right.
win without sacrificing too much, without self-destructing. And if you were to translate this problem as you see it in the shows, you look at For All Mankind or really most of TV, if you were to translate that in our reality, is a question of how do you fight all of the identity politics without being reduced to it? How do
Yes.
you make sure that if you talk about men, you don't end up just being a bitch, which would really defeat the point, and probably, then you end up being part of the Kamala Harris campaign vasectomy team or something like that. You end up being on the euthanasia squad. Like, don't do it.
White dudes
This
for
does
Harris.
like right. That does
This
not
is
end
this
well.
is the this is the podcast. It's White dudes for Harris.
So with For All Mankind, the other sci-fi thing that's right now in theaters making a big hit, giving American families a little way out, is Project Hail Mary. It's Ryan Gosling being very cute and cuddly, and obviously chicks love Ryan Gosling. And for once, he can
I
actually
also
sell
love
tickets.
Ryan Gosling.
I think his funniest movie was The Nice Guys. Really good comic chops, and he's there with Russell Crowe, who is actually a man and can play one on screen. So it's a very good comic duo. But even here, he still has a lot of comedy in him. And in Project Hail Mary, it's like 2 hours and a half. Half of it is okay bullshit, and there's some annoying stuff, but it's mostly a one-man show, and you have to ask yourself how many actors could pull that off. So
Right.
yeah, he's quite charming, quite successful, quite funny, and really sells the role. Now, a couple of thoughts. One of them is Project Hail Mary is that kind of Star Trek where you say Earth is doomed. The only interesting thing is go at the end of the universe, try to die in the black cosmos out there in the freezing cold of 0 Kelvin,
By the
because
way, we should
it
tell the
beats like
audience that I
Earth
haven't seen
communism.
it. I want to see it, but I haven't seen
Yeah, so we're playing by Pascal rules. There is no spoilers. It's just what you'll see in the trailer, let's say.
it.
So great for the family and fun, and it's quite well made. So there's a lot going for it. But as soon as, so to speak, the good feeling, although it's not euphoria, wears off, you see a couple of things. One of them is this Star Trek aspect. Earth is apparently now under threat of the cold death of the universe, and so suddenly a bunch of scientists take over the Earth with huge discretionary powers. World government has been installed immediately, and
Uh-huh.
some lady runs Ryan Gosling's
Ah.
life so that he can stop being a male fuck up and start being a success by doing what he's told. And there's obviously,
Ah.
United Nations, persons of color, globalism, and there's just this weird white guy there with his cultural references being cute in the 90s sort of way. That's Ryan Gosling for you. But there is this, touch of like the cancellation era that says, he was a young, promising scientist, and then he said something super controversial and he acted out and they destroyed his career. And now he's doing middle school science education, at the end of the
Ah.
world. Like, I think a lot of people went through that. I think a lot of guys will secretly think, I know what cancellation is like. It doesn't feel this cute and cuddly, but I get why this guy is suicidal. It really makes sense in an end of the world, end of the
Well, I mean, if
universe.
it's anti-cancel culture, then I mean, hey, that's
So there is,
Trump won.
kind of subtext to it, and so it's got some good things. Now, the other thought about Project Hail Mary is based on an Andy Weir novel. Andy Weir is kind of a loser, but he's also kind of the last science fiction author. He is in 2011 he wrote The Martian. This was just something on his blog. Ladies and gentlemen, Pascal is not drinking vodka by the gallon. He's just hydrating. So
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
so the Martian was a blog really, and it became really popular. And readers said, "Why don't you give me the Kindle? I'll throw you a bit of
So
change."
for the kids, a blog was kind of like a TikTok, but with words.
Exactly.
Go on.
TikTok is worthwhile. So then, it became big enough that one of the big publishers, Penguin Random House, bought it and actually sold it as a novel after it had been read by, I don't know, 100,000 people or whoever. And so people just bought it all over again, so to speak, now in print. For the kids, a book is
This,
a
yeah,
TikTok with
print
words,
is.
but you can hit people with a hit with it.
uh, this used to happen. This used to happen surprisingly frequently in the 2000s. Like bloggers would get big book deals, like big book deals.
Exactly. Like it's
Um,
the big, far gone times, but it was still possible. It was the last way to become an author, but it was possible. Publishing was
yes,
failing. They couldn't identify talent. Publishing is just run by the bitches, and we all love the bitches. But also, distribution had become a problem. So it's not just that you have to
yes,
identify yourself as a talent by putting your hand up. You also have to do your own distribution by building your own audience in advance. Like
yes,
so this is a falling apart business. There's not a lot of future here. And he somehow made it because this became a hit. And then it was filmed in Hollywood and Ridley Scott made this big hit out of The Martian. And you had this last gasp of that older, maybe Heinlein science fiction of the golden age where a rugged individualist American survives at
right.
the end of the universe. He's an astrophysicist, he's an astronaut, he's a farmer in the sky, very Heinlein sort of story as well. Has to survive, and then Earth sends the ships and brings him back. But of course, aside from that manliness, survivalism, the male hard sci-fi that's all about getting the technical details right and coming up with all sorts of clever plot ideas, there's also this other stuff that in The Martian, like with the lady in Gravity, Sandra Bullock, the universe is out there to kill you. And you just have to run
Right,
back to Earth, or they have to bring you back to Earth. There's nothing
right,
else you can do. So there
right.
is something about the crouching mentality, the weird, if not the primal scream, then again, something like a return to the womb of fragility about things. And now he's got this
Yeah.
much more fun story. It's even more retarded. Andy Wood is good with coming up with a story, but he can't write. Like he should just be telling it to somebody who can write, maybe directly for the screen in Hollywood or who knows. Uh,
This is a big problem in sci-fi in general, but yeah, go on.
and he has perfected something that, by the way, has taken over the young adult writing, first person narration. I did this.
Right.
I'm feeling this. It's just the most retarded levels of TikTokery, essentially.
Yes.
And this
And
is
first person.
the biggest hit we can manage now. This is where we are. The family gets to see Project Hail Mary, and that's good. Ryan Gosling gets a great outing, and that's also good. But on the other hand, we're continuously increasing the levels of retardation, even in terms of writing. What kind of sentences are you able to process? What do you enjoy? What sorts of things, send your imagination on fire, but also secretly challenge you? Are you learning anything? Do you understand this? How much of this did you know? Any sci-fi novel is a little like the SATs, actually. It's a little like a good end of high school exam, what used to call a baccalaureate. How much science, how much English, how much philosophy, how much other things do you understand? What ideas are you conversant with? How can you put them together? Are you able to think about an algorithm and about a plot drama and sort of keep them going together at the same time? If not, you may be a retard. But if you are, Project Hail Mary is right there for you. So this is pretty much what's happening to sci-fi, and that's more on the techie side, more on the hard sci-fi side. Obviously, we are all looking forward on the softer sci-fi side to Dune 3. Denis Villeneuve has managed to burn through, I guess, another $300 million or so. God bless him. I don't know how he does it. I cannot think of another director who has burned through this much money. If you ever look for the budgets of movies like the Dune movies, I guess the third one now, but also Blade Runner 2049, this guy gets people to burn money as though Hollywood were just out there worshiping beauties. Like if you can get them these crazy, beautiful, sublime images that Denis Villeneuve can get, you can just burn 250 million in
It's
cash.
that French magic, man.
Exactly. So we're looking forward to Dune 3, and mostly we're looking forward to figuring out, is he really going to completely screw us over? Something like that. Like everybody's out there cheering for Paul Atreides, even if he's played by the by the guy with the glass chin, the weakest leading man, Timothée
Hey,
Chalamet.
hey. I will defend the honor of Timothée Chalamet. Go on.
And you'd have to defend him because even Ryan Gosling could punch his lights out. He needs a defense. In fact, he needs a bodyguard. But and he's
He'd
supposed to
be
be
too
a prophet
fast.
hero.
Gosling wouldn't get to him. He'd be like, oh,
Yeah, he's Marty Supreme. He's
float
really
like a
fast.
butterfly, sting like a bee.
Exactly. At least if he's good at table tennis, right? That's Timothée Chalamet. He's a prophet hero of the post-apocalyptic future after the Butlerian Jihad. He's also good at table tennis. He's got skills. That's a star nowadays. It's a little sad if you think about it, but it's the best we've got. And
Sad that
by way
Timothée
of like a
Chalamet is the
prophet
only
hero
star, but
leading
he
a
was well
fight,
cast.
uh,
Anyway, go on, and then I will defend the honor of Skinny Frenchman.
so before we get to the dual part of the show, I'll just close on this matter that Timothée Chalamet, Dune 3 is the best shot we've got at the hero prophet is out there on a galactic adventure. This guy's challenging an empire and taking over. If you have a vision of it's a coming of age story, but a young man doesn't just become a man and avenge his father's murder, he also becomes emperor. It's hard to do better. And the worry is,
Yes.
are they going to completely ruin it and just bitch for 3 hours about how this guy is becoming emperor and it's so bad, it's so bad. Like, I'm a moral guy, I'm shaking my head every moment. No, I don't want him to. No, I don't want him to. Why did he make that colorful girl sad? Why is he making her sad? Like, I think maybe I
Yeah.
want him to make her sad. This is very. So this will be the problem of Dune 3, and this is really all we have now or in the immediate future by way of science fiction, and that's really how we think about the future. Everything else is we're not even thinking about the future.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. I mean, so first of all, I'm a big Denis Villeneuve fan. He's very good at aesthetics. He's very good at pacing. He's just very, very talented. And I wish we were in a better world where he would be able to give full flowering to his talents. Um, the aesthetics of Dune are great. I remember, like, I read Dune, and obviously I watched the David Lynch one, which I genuinely think is bad. And like, it's not on him. It was a disaster. The production, blah 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 blah. But I always thought Dune was impossible to adapt to film because so many of the concepts there's stuff that reads as cool on the page but are actually hard to visualize, like ornithopters and like shields that you fight with knives in a sci-fi setting. See, this is the Kvisatz Haderach, this right there. Um, um, all the blue eyes, I always thought, oh, that's such a cool concept, but if he tried to do it in a movie, it would look ridiculous, blah blah blah. And like he pulled it off, like all of that. The thing with the nose. It's like, no, you can't have a movie where like guys have a thing up their nose and like you can't see their face or their facial expression. It looks ridiculous. It sounds cool when you read about it, but if you think about it, it looks ridiculous. And no, so he did all of that. Like, it's a visual masterpiece. But I agree, it's got a bunch of flaws. It's got this problem, Oui. I have a dog here. Paul is a moody teenager because you can't have a leader who's a real leader. It's the same thing as Aragorn in The Lord of the Rings. You have to be like moody and angsty and self-doubting. The casting of what's her name as his girlfriend is terrible. That all of that being said, um, I think the casting of Timothée Chalamet as Paul was very good for a number of reasons. So first of all, Paul is like 15 when the movie begins. He's a boy, and he's um, you know so he shouldn't look like an action hero. He should look like a boy. He should look like a teenage boy. He should look like a young boy. And second of all, the character of Paul doesn't he's not an action hero. So he's very good at like knife fighting, but that's not something where you need to be and he's very good at like leading troops to the desert. Like the guys who are fighting in the deserts, like the tribal fighters, like that the Fremen are inspired by, like the Bedouin and Arabia and all that. These people are skinny, right? It's the lean cat physique. Like, sorry, Bap, it's the skinny cat physique, right? It's the lean, hard bitten, endurance marathon hiker, uh, stay several days without eating physique. That's who they are, and that's who he and the whole thing is that Paul sort of assimilates into that culture, right? He becomes one of them, and so it would if you had a Ryan Gosling type or a whatever Tom Cruise type or Brad Pitt type or whatever as Paul, it wouldn't work. And Timothée Chalamet works really well as a teenage son of a duke, right? He's a pretty boy. He's a pretty boy. He's young. He prefers to outwit rather than fight. He's physically, he's not physically, he has endurance, he has presence, he has charisma. I'm sorry, like he has charisma, like, but he's not a action hero lead. I think it's a very good casting choice. So there, and I think that the people, in their minds, they read the book and they imagined like Paul as this sort of roided up, Conan the Barbarian 2.0 type guy, and like, I'm sorry, that's not the character from the book. That's not how he's described, and that's not how it makes sense within the universe.
Yeah, I
So
think
I
that's right. This
sorry,
is
I had
an
to do this
Arnold.
rant because like this is a thing that people keep talking about on Twitter, and I always thought it was a really good casting choice in this movie, in these movies that have lots of flaws, but also like lots of really good things. Like this one is definitely on the good column, and I will you know again I had to do this rant because I think people make this complaint all the time, and I think they're just completely wrong.
Yeah, Paul Atreides can't be Arnold. That's not what this is about. It's not sliced alone. The difficulty is that you have to bring to screen aristocratic virtues. Part of the uniqueness of Dune is to say that this guy, who is the son of a duke, actually has a lot in common with savage, barbaric tribes out
Yes.
there, as you're saying, because they too live by honor.
Yes.
You might get killed for a gesture or a word, and you had better be aware of that. And therefore, there's got to be a lot of calculation, a lot of formality, a lot of manners, and even
Right.
mannerisms. But also, you have to have the aura of command, and you have to be
Right.
okay with killing people and getting people killed. The it's this is where the difficulties of the story are. You see them with both Chalamet and that lovely lady Rebecca Ferguson who plays his mom. They whine too much. They're
I
sentimental
am
in a way that's
definitely a fan of
unacceptable.
Rebecca Ferguson,
But
but
it's not their
I mean,
fault. They're talented actors. They're charming. They're pretty. But
for entirely heterosexual reasons. But no, but she's great. She's great.
yes,
She's great.
the
And she works. No, apart from what's her name, like the casting is solid. Like honestly,
yeah, pretty good. What's his face? Josh Brolin is in it. Jeremy
yes,
Halleck,
he's
really
great.
good choice. So yeah, even that crazy Javier Bardem as the chieftain still got
Yes,
quite convincing
yes.
also.
I sort of go back and forth on it, but like he's a great actor and like it works. And like and again, like you have to understand, like you know, I mean, I understand it emotionally. Like these are books we read as teenagers. Like I read this book when I
Yep.
was like 13 or whatever. And so you form these powerful images in your mind and they stick with you emotionally. And when somebody brings something to the screen that's different, it hits you emotionally in a particular way. And so Javier Bardem is not the Stilgar that I pictured, but he's also a really,
Yes.
really good actor. And like he plays his version of Stilgar really, really well. And so at some point you have to say, well, like, okay, fine. You know what? Like, you have to at some point realize that it's not the director's job to bring your 14-year-old boy's fantasies to the screen. Not entirely, anyway. He shouldn't spit on them, right? He shouldn't shit on
Yes.
them. He shouldn't, pervert them. But his job is not to like, you know, bring them exactly to life because he has his own. Anyway,
As you said, Denis Villeneuve is the artist who is most concerned with imagery that sticks with you and trying to put it together in such a way that it has an effect over 3 hours, that it moves and it moves you, it stays and it stays with you, and also the music, especially
yes.
the combination of bagpipes and the Christopher Nolan electric brass section or organ
Yeah.
noises. Again, big success. You see that it brings something out of the culture of the moment that maybe you didn't quite see there. So he's got a lot going for him with sound, not just with image.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we'll see which of these two sides of him prevails
Yes,
in Dune 3.
I'm really. It's the same thing. I'm like crossing my fingers and all of that because it really could go either way. It could be terrible or it could be amazing. I really don't know. So you wanted to say something about the Lord of the Rings, I believe,
Yeah, so we'll talk to sci-fi as the future. The
because we are
alternative, that
burning
is,
through time right now. By the way,
it's fine. We're doing okay. We don't have to stress about this. So there's a new piece of gossip on social media in Hollywood that Lord of the Rings is going to be now, bear with me, Stephen Colbert's Lord of the Rings, but
right?
it's
I saw
fine
this.
because he's writing it with his son, and that's a touching family story. Like there are
Whose
layers of
son?
mad. Stephen Colbert, like he and his kid are
Oh,
writing
his
this
own
together.
son.
They're going on a
Okay.
journey of father and son. I guess it's very hard to
Oh,
live this
wonderful,
way. Like
wonderful.
so, there are layers of lunacy to this, but in certain ways, it just fits into the problem. As sci-fi looks to the future, you could say that fantasy is what encouraged us to think about the past instead, and to again have these alternative pasts, mythical pasts, high medieval fantasy with Tolkien. Can we give a different past to the Germanic races so that it fits the Christian conversion better? The Lord of the Rings was trashed first by Amazon, and part of that is the Tolkien estate just sold and sold out because even if I guess after Christopher Tolkien died, everybody else in that estate is just trash. These people have no souls. They gave it to Amazon, and the result of it was that, on the other hand, on
Transit
Amazon's
Gloria
side,
Mundi.
right? It's the moment your kid dies, it's over, something like that. That's as much as you can hope. It's very sad, but it was also this sort of gigantic investment. Amazon wanted to compete with Game of Thrones, and so they threw $250,000 at the rights, and then they threw $500 million at the production. And it just got worse and worse. It wasn't like the first season, it looked worse there. There's a third season. Things are just going to get uglier. It looks like sooner rather than later, the orcs are going to be the good guys. We're going to get this kind of weird problem is with feminism and immigration in other stories.
Of course.
And now the next version of Tolkien is going to be something even far more trivial. You're not getting, say, the fall of Numenor, things like that. But it's also going to be done as this weird pet project for a washed out celebrity. Like, it's one thing to say Amazon threw $1 billion at this. It's another thing to say Stephen Colbert wanted to write something with his kid. These are different standards of corruption. Like, what is your price tag here? The Tolkien estate,
Yeah.
like, it's sort of like the joke about the whore and the John, and the guy says, like, would you sleep with me for $1,000? He says, yes. And he says, how about 10? He says, well, how dare you? So like, well, I think we've established the principle. Now we're just negotiating. Something like this is what we're going through, and that's on the Tolkien side. On the other side, of course, you have C.S. Lewis, and the Narnia books are going to be now
Yeah,
Netflix,
apparently
Greta
some lady.
Gerwig fantasy, and you're going to get another feminism. It's going to be Lady Barbie telling you about
Oh,
Narnia.
right. Jesus is now a girl. Jesus is
So
Glenn Close, right? That's the
Exactly. So, like, we're gonna
yes.
get the lioness, if you will. The spirit of feminism will roar in Narnia. This is what people online complain of as the skin suit problem. That
Right.
anything you love or believe in is going to be corrupted, perverted, used against you, and you'll be forced to watch it, so to speak, and be humiliated by
Yes.
it. The hope is like that the next generation will believe that this is what Tolkien is. That's what C.S. Lewis is. This
Yes.
is your Narnia. This is your
Yes.
Aragorn. They're just bitches. This is a
Yes.
real problem, and there are only really three solutions to this kind of thing that is outside of complete defeat, humiliation, just capitulate, let these people humiliate you, and acquiesce. One of it, of course, would be to pony up. It's hard to imagine people on the right doing this. Just throw money at it and buy the rights. And then, construct a legal structure around this so that it can be corrupted, unlike, say, the Ford Foundation or, one of these big Carnegie Foundation, all of these old industrialist do-gooder efforts. And that's a good way to understand what the problem is. Why isn't anybody ponying up? Why all of these humiliations don't teach people that you either own it, it's now property, if intellectual property, you either own it or grit your teeth. There's something low
Yes.
class in that sense about the right. The best you can do is, I guess, buy the books and hide in the middle class life in privacy and hope it works. But like, your kids are going to be exposed to the culture, so good luck. The second option, if you don't want to pony up, would be to veto it. If you can't put up the money, the other thing you can have is honors and especially dishonor. If people focus the campaign of scandal to humiliate these kinds of public offers, so if you will, a parallel to go woke, go broke, then they would be able to exercise a veto power. You don't get to choose who makes what, but you can at least set limits to how bad it could get. And
Mm-hmm.
but the difficulty is that to have that, of course, we'd have to act together and cause scandal. And underlying that, we would
Right.
have to have self-respect. And that's a major problem for people on the right. If you want to know what self-respect is, the basic form of self-respect is you tell somebody, what do you take me for? Who do you think you are? If you never have that thought, you don't have self-respect, which you may have learned something here, but there it is. And the third option, if you're not going to pony up for the $1 billion prize, if you're not going to cause these kinds of public humiliation, scandals, go woke, go broke, impose some respect on these people, the third option is try again, sidestep it, avoid the frozen conflict, claim the high ground, just pay artists to do AI demos. Just show quality, character, talent. There's a lot of stuff that you can do and show enough talent in draftsmanship, in storytelling, image making, characterization, so that you charm the public instead. If you don't have money for Hollywood, you probably have enough money for AI. That's, if you will, a riskier, more creative, more artistic venue. Whereas on the right, people kind of understand property, a little even understand politics, but they don't understand art at all. So, in
Yeah.
a way, it's the easiest, but it's the hardest for our side. But those are your three options. If you're not going to do either one of them, again, all you can do is grit your teeth as your children, in a certain sense, are corrupted in front of your eyes and you saw it coming, but you didn't do anything about it, which is not a happy story. That somehow, fantasy was supposed to sort of shore up our souls over against the threat of the world wars, the nuclear war. Okay, you're going to think about the past, not the future, but it's going to make a man out of you. Your fantasies are the last place where you can have a war that is moral and you can win it and you can prove yourself. If you're there with Legolas and Aragorn and Gimli and so on, you have decided something in your own soul and with your friends and whoever else loves this stuff, and it defines your life in a certain way. but even that can be sort of trashed. In our world, that is what is known as the Babylon Bee, right? Like you can reduce politics and humor to memes about Lord of the Rings, and in the process, turn Lord of the Rings into memes. Just everything is a fucking joke now. Not a particularly good joke, but there it is. So there's actually a deep penalty even on fantasy. It starts one way, as you were saying. You're a teenager, you're a boy, you want to prove yourself, you want to be a man, you, in a sense, yearn for a catastrophic war, a cataclysmic world-ending event to prove yourself. But if that's not handled, then you just become a kind of middle-aged guy who makes a joke out of everything. Like everything is reduced to memes, and it's like, I get that reference. You're a fucking retard. So it's not just our sci-fi that's been corrupted, it's also our fantasy. It's not just our thinking about the future, but also our thinking about the past and character. So these kinds of things that we're trying to drag forward into the present. Your token will be taken from you, your so also with your C.S. Lewis Narnia stuff will be taken from you. And so like the only thing that it looks like, at least as yet, will not be taken from you in fantasy, and like this is the last cultural product of Perfidious Albion, is J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter. Harry Potter, the blight of my generation. I lost friends over Harry Potter. If you want to understand what that means, it means that I was a high school kid and I saw people read Harry Potter and I never talked to them again because this is horrible. You're supposed to read better things. You're a loser. So I don't like Harry Potter. But then Harry Potter became a computer game, which was hugely successful. And that meant that, say, my kid, nephew, and niece at the age of 10, they were playing this stuff, kind of loved it. And now it's becoming a TV show, which, if I may hazard a guess, is going to be super popular again. In fact, because people hear, oh, there's going to be a Harry Potter TV show. Most of those Harry Potter books are now again in the top 10 Amazon bestseller. People can't get enough of Harry Potter. It's crazy. This is trash literature, but it's also like it looks like it's the only thing
we're always
holding the
stuck in a
woke
loop.
back. Like it's not conservatives holding the woke back. It's feminist, rad femme turf J.K. Rowling. Strange but true. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
our fantasy sci-fi review of the situation and the coming attractions. But all that to aside, Pascal, next we will have to do a duet in praise of our beloved friend Peachy Keenan. Like,
Yes.
let's talk about supervillains for a spell. It's just a preview of coming attractions, and
Yes.
then lead us off.
Yes. So, okay, so first part was culture rant. Second part, which will be brief because neither of us have read the book.
Yeah, it hasn't shown up yet. It's going to appear soon.
It's been announced and it's available for pre-order, and you should pre-order it
Pascal
on
he
Amazon.
put the receipts on social media. Like he's
Right.
willing to put his money where his mouth is. I also have the book, but digitally, I'll buy it in when it comes out.
On Amazon or on Passage Press, the wonderful, wonderful people at Passage Press who are basically like holding up all right wing culture single handedly, like Atlas. Um, yeah, so Peachy is amazing. If you're listening to this and you don't know who Peachy is, you're part of a very, very select group. She's a Twitter personality. She's a mom. She's delightfully and wickedly funny and witty. And she wrote a first book, which was a huge bestseller, which was titled Domestic Extremist, which was basically a guide for essentially like women winning the culture wars by being treadwise and breeding. Um, and so she has written a second book with Passage, which is titled Supervillains. And as the name indicates, it's a an attack on who she thinks are the greatest supervillains of our age. I'm typing right now because the supervillains Peachy Keenan. I'm an old man. I have to type. I have to speak out loud while I'm typing. The art is amazing, as always with Passage books. The architects of America's decline. Um, and so you have a number of characters. You have the Great Replacers, the Rainbow Goon Squad, the Fat Cats, the DEI Hearts. I'm not sure if that's true. That I'm reading an AI summary now. Um, anyway, it's a guaranteed, fun, hilarious read, and you should go read it. And and again, I'm happy to this may be the first time that I actually recommend a book I haven't read. And I'm totally happy to do it, blind sight unseen, because she is such a talented writer. It has to be hilarious and witty and smart and clever and a good use of your money. So go ahead.
Yeah, so Peach is in a certain sense the kind of figure we would need to have a somewhat wittier, funnier, more outrageous, less bitchy right-wing culture. As you said, she's a mom of a large brood and a lady who is absolutely in love with her husband, and also she used to work in for Disney. She used to work for in Hollywood, and so she has a kind of experience that a lot of people on the right don't, and a lot of interest in putting together the mom side of life and the creative arts. She's always writing movies, TV pilots, stuff like that, that unfortunately we can't fund or
Yes.
somehow figure out. And aside from being very, very funny, she would like indeed to, as with domestic extremists, to lead the revolution. Has this California conservative desire for revenge against liberals, the left, and to take back paradise in the case of California, and then hopefully the world. So
Inshallah.
exactly, may your inshallah become your alhamdulillah, my brother. So but beside all of this fear that we had paradise and we lost it, we were betrayed, everything was stolen, the stuff that makes all of us on the right angry, she's incredibly funny. There's something
Yes.
human about that, and of course, she's a very good Catholic, so she knows to put some limits on the anger and the bitterness. You have to have something to live for. And in supervillains, she turns to this, in a way, is the most popular genre in conservatism. Whose fault is it anyway? Who do we blame? This is like our friend David Azarad likes to say. It's one of the basic questions in politics: who's to blame? Somebody will always get the blame. The as you say, there's all of these people about DI, great replacers. She talks about the sick doctor, like so the opening chapter. It's COVID, which is, yeah, I guess the defining event. But
Right.
also things that you maybe don't think about as much is the billionaire ex-wives club. How much damage is done by Jeff Bezos'
That's true. That's
wife,
true.
about Steve Jobs' ex-wife, about all of these crazy ladies, Bill Gates' ex-wife. Hard to say, is Bill Gates more evil or his wife? Surely Bill Gates is evil, but his wife might end up doing more damage in the long run. Remains to be seen. So
Yes.
it's neck and neck out there, as they say.
Yes.
We don't know who's going to come in first. Photo finish situation. So
Yes.
she gives you a kind of tour of horizon of the kinds of people who are trying to destroy America, if you will, the anti-MAGA coalition, over
Yeah.
which you could think about the MAGA coalition, and we're not yet in a position to write a kind of happy, funny book about even a fantastic or sci-fi MAGA victory, but we should consider that too. Maybe it should be her next book or something like that. So yeah, it's incredibly funny, and as you say, we are happy to recommend it sight unseen, but we shall also invite Peach on the podcast. next podcast to talk about her book after we actually get to read it, or maybe
Yes.
that for when she launches it and closer to publication, we get a chance.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll time it with the launch so that it actually makes
Yes.
sense.
But as you're saying, just go to Passage Press, pre-order it. It'll
Yes.
help Passage Press, it'll help Peachtree, it'll help you too. You get to be part of something that A is
Yes.
a success and B deserves to be a success. And
Good.
therefore
Good.
C
And yeah.
leads to future successes. So
Go to Passage Press and browse around. I went there to buy the Peachy book, and I ended up buying another book. They have so many great books. It's actually very hard to keep track. It's amazing if you remember how it started with Lomez and the Passage Prize and just like
yep.
a couple, a couple random books, and then there was, Sailor and Curtis and all
Yep.
that.
Got it.
It's a tremendous, tremendous enterprise which you should patronize with your hard-earned dollar. So go on the I take what I'm saying literally as well as seriously. Go on the Passage Press website and with the firm intent to pre-order the Peachy book and do buy the Peachy book, but also browse around and buy something else. You won't regret it.
Yeah, like they've got books for kids, they've got books for guys, and books for kids and
Yes,
for
yes. They
guys.
have all sorts of imprints. They have sci-fi,
Yes.
high quality sci-fi. No, it really is, it there should be 10, 20, 30, 50 passages, but it's what
But
we
this is the
have.
only one we
You
got.
go to Culture War with the publishing house you have. Um and yeah, it's great.
So we can never say enough good things about Peach and about Passage. But for now, we have to close. We have to defer our Michael Mann for the next thing. Maybe he dies and we do an obit. The guy is 80 something. Maybe he too
No,
actually
don't say
comes
that. Don't
out.
say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Uh,
We should do yeah, we didn't have time. We wanted to talk about Michael Mann. We didn't have time. We should do an entire show. We could absolutely do a full hour on Michael
yeah,
Mann.
okay.
I
It's just
mean,
next episode, we'll do Michael Mann, the movies, TV
we can do
shows, the
5, 10 minutes
novel.
of current events and then just do like a full hour of Michael Mann. I mean, there's so much material. I mean, we could do a full hour just on Heat. We could do a full hour just on Last of the Mohicans. We could. I mean,
So
it's
then we
been
can
great.
just say, everyone out there, just watch Heat, watch maybe Collateral, watch Thief. I think is great. Watch Miami Vice is also cool. Maybe read
Yes.
Heat too if you're into detective fiction, hard-boiled stuff. He wrote a novel at 80 something years because why not? So watch something, read something. If you're into Hannibal Lecter, watch Manhunter. Really good. And of course, Last of the Mohican, the rare case
Yes.
where it's a really good novel, really good movie,
Daniel
American
Day
heritage,
Lewis.
Western, cowboys and Indians, but it's not in fact cowboys. They're just colonists.
The
So
only good, the only Hollywood movie that portrays the French being good at war.
very good point. It's yeah, that's one of the fascinating things about it. You see the Indians and their way of life, French and their way of life, the
Yeah.
Anglo-Americans and their way of life, and all of them have good and bad points. It has a kind of depth and humanity. Yeah, so maybe watch Last of the Mohicans. All of these things are very good recommendations, very fine filmmaking, and maybe you're old enough to know the TV show Miami Vice, the 80s, I guess. Maybe you're
I
going
watched
to do some.
reruns, to be clear. To be clear.
Yeah, like we're not that old,
I'm
but
not that old.
we like to feel that we were there with the
Yes.
cocaine in
Yes.
Miami and the
Yes.
Ferrari.
Yes.
Like, it could have been me. So then we'll do that next time. We'll have the Michael Mann Appreciation Hour and try to sell you on his version of romantic, rugged manliness. So
Yes.
let's do that.
He's an apostle of manliness. All right. This has been a lot of fun, as always. let's really try to make this a regular thing, and let's have more smug European conversations about culture.
This is what the world needs.
This is what the world needs. Another podcast.
All the best until next time, Pascal. Bye bye.